In three, two, one. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Torch Snuffers. I am your host, Colin Connors. My wonderful co-host, Alicia Garza, is actually off on an adventure. She's fighting crime, but I'm not here just by myself. I'm here with the wonderful Prince Ty. Prince Ty, who appears to be on a time delay. There we go. Good evening. Also joining me today is the always beautiful Stephen Lehman.
Well, thank you, Colin.
And our special guest for tonight, Big Mike Allbright, Survivor superfan.
Hi, everybody.
Now, we do have Alex Cash lurking somewhere in here, but we'll try to get him going when he actually gets all of his technological stuff settled. Okay, so first thing is I want to thank everybody for patching in and viewing, because I do realize that, to my calculations, there's the 1,000th presidential debate going on, and you would much rather be here with us. So that's nice. But we have a whole bunch to get into. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and we're just going to discuss the elephant in the room, which is the main focus of tonight's episode, which is all the medevacs. Ty. Oh no, we appear to be having some technical difficulties. Ty's frozen. Ty's dying. Anyways, Steven, I guess me and you are going to be having this conversation.
All right.
What was going through my head during this challenge, during the main focus of this episode, was just how obnoxious it was that this was happening. This is probably the worst conditions we have seen the survivors go through since, I think, the Australian outback, and it raises this moral dilemma.
Africa and Guatemala were both pretty brutal, but yeah.
It raises this question, though, how bad should Survivor actually be? And should the show be more about surviving in the elements or the gameplay? Because recently, the seasons have all been about the gameplay. But now, once again, we're back to the element roots. So what point do we need, what middle ground should we find? And Steve, I'm going to let you talk about it first, but I do want to talk with Mike about it as well.
Yeah, I thought it was refreshing that we got something besides the gameplay. I mean, I'm never huge on, strategy, let's count votes for 45 minutes. I always like it when we get to know the people, we get to see what they're going through. So something like this was really, as scary as it was really sort of neat to see what was going on. So that's what my sort of thought on the episode itself was.
But you don't think production has a moral fiber or something to do so this doesn't happen, Stephen?
I think the conditions were as bad as they were. So, short of literally stepping in and giving them more stuff, I don't know how this could have been prevented.
Okay, and then Mike, let's talk about it. What's your take on this?
Well, some of the most compelling moments in the history of the show are via this many medevacs. But from what I've been told, the press went through this challenge and it took just as long and it was just as hot, and they had trouble. And the Dream Team, I allegedly had trouble too. Mm-hmm. I think they were setting themselves up for a bad situation, and they may have been doing that intentionally for something like this to happen, because there's been less strategy aside from the Brains Tribe this whole season. So I like it and I don't like it.
Well, I was actually going to bring that up because for all the people that don't know, they do have Dream Teamers that run these challenges just for this reason, to find mistakes. So honestly, I'm going to say it. I think it's a little bit of a neglect. I don't think it's horrible neglect. I don't think anyone should be in jail. But I really do think production needs to take a long, hard look at themselves and go, okay, is this the kind of show we want to have?
Yeah.
So Mike, do you think that there should be a sit-down meeting, and do you think they're actually going to address this, or do you think? I mean, let's take a step back. Survivor Second Chances, as we know, was filmed before this season. And once things got really bad in Survivor Second Chances, they gave them a shelter and they gave them a home. So did they learn their lesson, or is it what you're saying, Mike, where there's no gameplay going on this season? Let's do it. Steven, I think you wanted to say something.
Well, I think Steven's going to say what I was going to say, that they shot 31 first, they shot Second Chances second, but this was shot first, so they knew what to do when they showed us the other one.
Exactly.
First.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
so there were specific accommodations made, I'm almost certain, because they wouldn't want. It's one thing to have that happen to some 18 unknown people, but for people to vote, millions of people to vote, and then have that happen to Jeff Varner, the fan base would have reacted dramatically different than it being Caleb, even though he was on Big Brother.
I think that's actually a very interesting point. So what y'all are saying is that maybe the only reason they even helped these second chances was just because of their famous. I thought maybe they helped them because they're like, hey, we don't want to see people passing out and dying. But you guys have a much more nihilistic look at it.
I think it could be a bit of both.
All right. So let's see. I think Alex might be able to join in, and then he can talk. Alex, are you there?
Am I there?
Yes, you are. Okay. Go ahead. Give us your spill on the current events.
All right. So I think that if it was taking them 45 minutes to dig through a whole like an area that big, then either make the area smaller or or put the bags less deep. You don't make them suffer like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, you seem to be siding with me, so I like that.
Suffer for something more than just, coffee.
Okay.
Coffee that's already a diuretic is going to make you pee when you really need the water.
That's true. Okay, so Alex, that was his thought. So Ty, we have already discussed most of the medical evacuations, but I do want to hear your take. Does production have a moral standpoint where they need to not make challenges this hard? Because according to Mike, the Dream Team had just as much trouble as the Survivor contestants did.
Okay, I didn't hear. Repeat that one more time. Sorry.
Okay, according to Big Mike Allbright, the Dream Team had as much trouble as the contestants did. So when they started this challenge, they knew the contestants were going to have a really hard time.
Well, then they're morons for doing it. I mean, I'll be honest with you. The fact that we spent a half hour on Caleb getting medevaced, like after I knew that Debbie wasn't going, because Debbie is the savior of this season and is amazing at all things. God bless Debbie. After that happened, it was just boring for like 15 minutes. Like, I have no idea how I'm going to write an article on this episode on Edgic when nothing happened for a half hour besides Caleb nearly died.
And I just want to point out
that they knew that Caleb was nearly going to die because of how exhausting it was out there. What were they thinking? What were those morons thinking? Thank God they have good lawyers. Thank God CBS has all of the lawyers to prevent Caleb from suing their asses for what the fuck happened.
Well, and what's interesting is that
it was
what Steven and Mike brought up is that a possibility of them doing this challenge, even though they knew it would be grueling, was the fact that this season hasn't actually had that much strategy besides the Brains Tribe. So maybe they're like crossing their fingers that something like this would happen. Because I mean, we had 3 people go down in one challenge, which I think that might be a record. Even was that? Yeah, 3. Yeah, we had 3 people go down the challenge, which I think is even a record, even from that hardcore basketball game they played, or they used to play a lot.
Right.
Like Micronesia.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think you're talking the Samoa, the Schmergen Brawl.
Yeah.
Yeah, there.
Which, to me, though, and Steven, you said as a viewer you like seeing this. I personally don't, and I guess that's just what we all expect from this show. I like seeing some struggle, but much like in Australian Outback, when you just saw people passing out at Guatemala, where you just saw people passing out, for me, it's just not what I want to see.
I mean, for me, I think it's a little bit different because for me, my first season was Australia, so that was my exposure to the show. My exposure was literally Michael Scoopin screaming, falling in the fire, and me as a 7-year-old saying, "Oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever." So I mean, I think it's just different for different folks in this instance.
Yeah.
But for me, when you talk about counting votes and strategy for 45 minutes, that just gets boring. I like seeing the struggle. I like seeing the real people behind the persona. That's what I love.
And I love this. This is why I love doing this, because we have that clear divide. Because I think, Big Mike, you're kind of on the same boat as Stephen.
Yeah. Anytime you have, it's 42 minutes, but yeah, I wouldn't want to see 42 minutes of strategy. I mean, it's fun for a while, but
Yeah.
the show got as popular as it was in Borneo and Australia because they showed people actually surviving in the elements, not because a bunch of tied votes and immunity idols were pulled out. 30 million people aren't watching Survivor right now because of that.
That's a very good point. Now, Alex, I want to jump to you, and then we're going to talk about everything else that happened in this episode, because there actually was other stuff that I think you guys are going to find interesting. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, I'm kind of one foot in both camps because I'm not as much of an early season purist kind of thing. I do appreciate the faster paced elements and the fact that the strategy does give story elements to the show, but I do like seeing the surviving and the struggling. But something on this level where it eats up an entire episode, it's kind of like the oolonging of Palau. it was interesting the first time it happened, and then we really don't need it again.
Okay, that's fair. And you know what? This will go down in Survivor history as, hey, that one episode where a bunch of people almost died. But
Exactly.
there is some other stuff that happened, and people that have been watching this, people that know kind of how I think, I want to point out what the episode highlighted on the previously on Survivor segment. Once again, they highlighted the 3 Girls Alliance on the Beauty Tribe.
Oh, yes.
So,
I noticed that.
like, this is empirical evidence that those 3 girls are going to do some damage because we didn't see anything else from them. And then the same thing happened last episode where they kept getting random throwaway confessionals. Ty, I'm going to let you take the lead on this before I jump to Mike.
Well, I thought you were
Well,
going
like,
to talk
what do you
about
think
the
it
other
means?
thing.
Like,
there was one other thing that I noted in there.
okay.
Well, as far as the beauties go, because I wasn't jumping on the beauties, I was jumping on that Debbie got all the credit for the brains move.
Oh, yeah, that was going to be the other thing we were going to say, but I want to talk about the 3 girls beauty first.
Anyway.
Oh, Ty's breaking up. Okay, Ty, you're having some trouble.
LJ in the
Yeah.
actual... Like in
All
the
I've-
first season.
Okay, Ty, you're breaking up. I heard something about OJ. Okay, Mike, let's talk about the 3 beauty girls.
Oh, I love those girls. They were actually the first 3 of this cast I met. They're thick as thieves. I met them at Andrea's event. They're great girls. I want to see them do well. They're beautiful. They're smart. They got, Ty and Nick they can work with. Even with the swap, they're not really threatening either, I don't think, and they're not really targets, even though Anna should be, I think, and Michelle. I hope they go far. If they're the final 3, I'll be a happy guy.
Yeah. But, and Mike, you have to admit, editing is certainly favoring them because of their whole, every single episode now, they've said something about them, even when the narrative had nothing to do with them. They didn't need to say previously on Survivor those 3 girls were stuck together. So
Every
Yeah,
week.
I think it's a sign that we need to pay attention to them.
yes. All right. And then as Ty pointed out before he actually disappeared, another crazy thing that happened was in the previously on Survivor, Debbie was painted as the mastermind of the orchestration of Liz being voted out last episode. Steven, you're really, really, really excited about that.
I love
So
Debbie.
here's my big question. Debbie is a brain. And
Yes.
it's going to be a little long-winded, but I want
Okay.
everyone to pay attention. Debbie's a brain. She is a huge Survivor fan. She knows Survivor casts crazy characters. Not only that, is she seems to be giving pretty good confessionals along with it. I think Debbie is actually putting on a front, and I think she's playing a giant meta game of Survivor.
Nope.
Damn. That's my
No,
feature for the mic.
I'm
Okay,
getting-
Mike, what do you think?
She's using her frontal lobe.
Exactly.
She's talking about various parts of the brain.
She seems to be the most out of anybody playing into their set category, and I think she's doing that for confessionals. I think she is purposely manipulating like what the producers want to see.
But she's a Coach and Phillip type. There's some actual. It's on all up front. She might have 30 cats, but she probably has 20.
Oh, I'm not saying she's not a little bit crazy, but I think she's playing this whole thing up though.
Oh, it's hyped up. Yeah, it's like Phillip more than Coach probably. It's more of a presentation.
I do think though that unlike say Philip or Coach, she's actually backing her talk up though.
Well,
She's
that's
able
what.
she's able to say, she's laying back, she doesn't want anyone to notice her, and she still is given all the credit for making the Liz move happen. I think there's a lot more to Debbie than anyone really ever gave her credit.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That's why I think she's playing a meta game of Survivor. I think she knows exactly what the producers want, and I think she actually kind of knows how to play. Do I think she wins? Probably not, but I definitely think she's got way, way more going on than meets the eye. Alex, do you want to jump in on this, on Debbie?
Well, I would say that she's naturally a little like this. She's, letting the cameras and the audience feed into that energy and amp it up a little bit.
And, I mean, like Ty said earlier, that's kind of all we really had to go on this episode, because we didn't actually see that much besides all the medevacs. So now that we're getting to this part of the analysis of the episode, it's going to be moving a lot quicker, because that's kind of all I really got on the Brains Drive. Peter is an ER doctor, and he didn't help at all. That's kind of funny. I do like to think it's because they told him not to, because they had other doctors, but it's kind of funny to picture Peter just sitting there being like, oh, that looks pretty bad. Go ahead, Alex.
like at the very least, Jeff could have asked Peter, hey, you're a doctor, you're smart, you're a brain. What do you think? Just milk it a little bit. And the fact that he did not, I think, attests to the possibility that Peter really was just kind of either totally out of it or just, told absolutely.
Yeah. Peter is kind of almost a slightly more strategical Nick on the Brains tribe. All right, Nick from the Beauty tribe, Peter's that on the Brains tribe, where it's just a guy that's kind of douchey that's just there at this point, taking up space. Does anyone want to counter that analysis? Does anyone think Peter has more going on? That silence says all that needs to be said on Peter. Okay.
I thought it was nice how he helped with the snake in the challenge because he's a bit of a snake. I thought that was
I
that's
love
good.
that. I am a sucker for when they do new and interesting things with the challenges. Because it takes up enough of a part of the episode that I am basically forced to care just by proxy.
Yeah.
And the fact that they made a puzzle work like that I just really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean the challenges this season have been pretty good, but the gameplay has been a little lackluster. But that's to be expected following obviously such a great gameplay heavy season like Second Chances. All right, Steven, real quick.
Soapbox, Co Wrong is already better than Cambodia. I'm going to say.
Oh, no. Okay, we'll save that for your soapbox segment. We still have more analysis to do.
Okay.
And look at Mike. I think Mike got a big reaction from that. Okay, real quick, show of hands. Who thinks Caleb is coming back for like a Survivor Second Chances, like he'll be on the ballot?
Easy.
Season 36, if the theme's accurate, he's back. So.
Season 36 theme's accurate. Oh, and we're going to talk about all this stuff for next seasons and the next 2 seasons as well with Steven as we get closer towards the end. Okay, so I guess the last thing really we should dissect is the Braun tribe. They're really mean to her. Poor Alicia. Poor Alicia. Mike, what does this editing tell you that they were? I mean, she is seen as a ditz, but Scott and Jason were just like horrific towards her. Not as bad as Dan and Will to Shireen, but still, it just seemed unbearable. What's your take on that?
I think the editors are setting up those two I think they're in so much control, and at the swap or the merge, they're gonna get their crap blown up so hard. They're gonna block their shots. They're gonna be the hunted, not the bounty hunters. So I can't wait to see it. And I like Scott a little bit on Twitter, and Jason's interesting, but I'm not really a fan of any of the Braun people. And not even the ones voted out except for Jenny. They're all.
Oh, I thought Jennifer was amazing.
I didn't like anybody.
I'm sure you did, Colin.
Yeah, Jennifer was my winner pick, as for those of you that don't know. Okay, Tyler, I want to talk to you real quick. All about
before my shit cuts out.
Yeah,
yes.
you know all about Edgic. In the very first episode, we thought Jason and Scott had a shot of doing good. Is that completely out the window now?
Yes. God, yes.
Okay.
Jason, as I've written in my articles, I think Jason's ceiling is like a Marty character, where he gets to like the early merge and nobody goes for his plans and everybody just is like, God, this guy's a huge dick. And he's kind of funny because nobody listens to him and he never gets any real power. Those idiots probably blow the idol somehow, although I still think that if Jason and Scott end up together, Scott has just been so, oh my God, it's the two of us, it's the bros, it's the bros, it's the bros. He's always talking about we. Jason is always talking about me. I still think there's a chance that Jason stabs that poor giant in the back. Although not so much poor because he looked like a total dick in this episode.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. I thought Scott was getting a pretty decent edit until this. I was like, yeah, he's a little jockey, but he was funny. He had some charm to him. Not anymore.
He was great episode 1, and then he was seen to be like totally worn out by episode 2. And ever since then, he's just been like, oh my God, Alicia is terrible. Oh my God, Alicia is terrible. And despite Alicia being dumb in and of her own right, at no point was he ever actually threatened by this tiny, poor blonde girl. Mm-hmm. And yet he was so over the top about, oh my God, this tiny, poor blonde girl is going to outsmart me. Which, if you think that, maybe he ain't so goddamn smart.
That's a very fair point. And I guess, actually, this kind of goes into what we were talking about with the medevacs. Some people don't want to see Survivor players almost dying all episodes. I'm one of them. Of course, I like it every now and then, but I don't want to see it that much. And much like in Survivor Worlds Apart, I don't think many viewers actually want to see bullying that much. Like, gameplay is one thing. Outwitting, outplaying, outlasting, that's one thing. But seeing people just be mean to people, do any of us actually find that entertaining? Mike, what's your take on it?
It depends on. Unfortunately, it does depend on a little bit who the person is and the baggage they bring into that particular episode when it happens. So sometimes I liked it, but most of the time I don't.
And like tonight's episode, come on, that was just.
Blondie didn't deserve to get dogpiled again.
I agree, Alex. You want to chime in real quick?
Yeah, I think it does have a lot to do with the power dynamics involved, where it's like, is it one particular character who just goes all in on another particular character for no discernible reason, or is there a discernible reason and is it bad, or is there one person being ganged up on by everyone? Yeah, but we want to see some questionable behavior. We just don't want the entire season to be smothered by it.
That's true, and I'm a little worried because Jeff Probst did say it was happening more this season, so what we saw tonight might actually be a blueprint for the rest of the season. And if that's the case, Steven's little assertion will be completely wrong, and I already think it's wrong. But Steven, what I'm going to talk to you about is actually what do we know about the next 2 seasons filming? We're looking on to the future in a post-Survivor Cool Wrong world. Go ahead, Steven.
The only thing I've honestly saw was that it's going to Fiji. So.
We are filming in Fiji, but from what I understand, next season is going to be new players, and the season after that is going to be returning players. We don't know how those returning players are going to be divided up. However, the rumor mill is spinning around, and it looks like potential winners are being contacted. I don't think it means it's going to be an all-winner season. I just think winners will be back into the mix. Mike, have you heard anything?
I've heard something similar to that, or a second chances, and then even further down the road, I've been hearing whisperings of, if you look at what season 16 was, and if you look at what season 26 was, there's a good chance season 36 could be similar to those other seasons that ended in a 6.
Oh, gosh.
Like Amazon. So.
Well, I personally, I'm not a big fan of that format, but I could see other people thinking it's a favorite and bringing it back. So, Steven, you had a soapbox. You were going to say this season is better than Survivor Second Chance. I do want you to know we're all going to ridicule you mercilessly for saying that. So go ahead and make your piece before we just slaughter you.
Different strokes, different folks. I thought Cambodia was too gameplay heavy. I didn't like the choppy editing or storylines, particularly with people like Wigglesworth, Kimmy, people who were early season favorites, even Varner. I just didn't like that the early season players got shafted for Cagayan and San Juan del Sur, as much as I love San Juan del Sur. I just wasn't keen on Cambodia overall this season. I don't think it's particularly bad. It's just not my cup of tea.
Well, what makes this season so great, though?
This season, for me, I like that I feel like I know these people as people before characters. And with a returning player season, I get that you supposedly know them already, but I still want more personal depth. I want more stories like Kimmy talking about her sick boys, or even an Andrew Savage talking about meeting his model wife. Even stuff like that. I just feel like I know these new people when I'm invested in them.
Okay, so you think that the editing has already been better this season than it was last season?
Yeah, I mean, because Kelly Wigglesworth goes 8 episodes straight without a confessional. I mean, that's just inexcusable.
But I guess what I would say is part of the thing, though, is we might start seeing that trend tonight because, as Ty said, a lot of people didn't get confessionals tonight, and we don't even know what's going to happen a lot next episode.
But I do think that this episode was a bit of an outlier, in that you had that really serious medevac. You really had that sort of back half rushed, so I don't know if that's necessarily a sign of things to come. I think it might just be an outlier.
All I'm going to say is this. I loved last season's cast so much that I'm willing to overlook the small editing flaws. And Kelly Wigglesworth got the shaft she did because she refused to play into her character type and buy into the second chance story. So while it stunk for us as viewers, I understand why production did that to her. Mike, do you want to comment on this season already compared to last season?
I liked both a lot, but I like them both for different reasons. I think Kelly was about as interesting as she was in Borneo and Cambodia. She didn't get 8 episodes in a row without a confessional because she probably didn't say anything interesting. And either her or Kimmy should have been gone for T-Bird, because she would have been interesting in every confessional.
That's fair.
Justice for T-Bird.
Okay, so Alex, jump in real quick.
So, Steven, I don't disagree with you. I think it's too early to make a call, but I am really digging this season, and I think part of it is because I'm paying closer attention and getting more emotionally involved because I am writing writing a column. But on the other hand, I also just think it's got the kind of thing that speaks more to me personally.
Okay.
And my other soapbox thing, and this might be kind of a mean thing to say, is that it's sad when anybody gets medevaced, and I was sad that Caleb went, but I would have been more sad if it was Danielle Reyes or like literally anybody who had had some semblance of strategic know-how on Big Brother rather than beast mode cowboy.
Well, that's somewhat fair, and I think Caleb did get the hero edit. He got a sympathetic edit because they knew this was going to happen, and they're probably going to want to bring him back. So what I have
that on my column.
What I had to say is this: it was a decently entertaining episode, but it didn't give us these kind of people that much to work with. So I wouldn't be surprised if the know-it-alls are grasping at straws. If when you guys write your articles this week, you're grasping at straws. So, okay, hopefully it's just an outlier. Does anybody have anything else they want to add? Anything else they would like to contribute? Any points that we missed on this very kind of straightforward episode? Go ahead, Stephen.
Just chiming in real quick. I'm still in love with Aubrey Bracco, so.
Okay, Mike, did you want to say something?
Oh, I said they should have let Ty try to kiss Caleb. They might have resurrected him.
Oh, that was sweet. And then Ty, go ahead. Ty?
This was probably already covered, but if there's one person who had a good episode tonight, my girl Deb, she has the personal connection because her.
That's true. Oh, and Ty's breaking up as he's talking about how much he likes Debbie.
Daughters are proud of her, despite the fact that she doesn't know how to very good. Have a good night, everybody.
Yep, and Ty, okay. So basically, Ty was saying Debbie did get a great edit. That's why I'm saying she's playing a metagame. Debbie is going to go far, and I'm so excited. I do want to thank everybody so much for joining us. Like I said, it was a little bit of a lackluster episode to dissect just because it was so straightforward, but, it was still a great episode of Survivor. So I want to thank Ty, Steven, Alex, and our wonderful guest, Big Mike Allbright, for attending, and thank you all so much, and I will see you all live next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
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 Bye.